Jury selection in Donald Trump's New York hush money trial will begin on March 25th. This will be the very first of the former president's 4 criminal cases to go to trial. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg last year charged Trump with falsifying business records stemming from hush money payouts. Trump and his legal team deny any wrongdoing. In the meantime, in Atlanta, a judge is hearing arguments over whether to disqualify District Attorney Fani Willis from leading the Georgia election interference case against Trump.
She is accused of lying about a romantic relationship with the prosecutor she hired. Attorney Nathan Wade and DA Willis say their relationship started only after Wade was hired in November 2021. And now a former co-worker of Willis is saying the opposite.
Are you certain that Ms. Willis told you about the romantic relationship with Mr. Wade prior to November 1st of 2021?
Yes.
And did you observe them do things that are common among people having a romantic relationship?
Yes.
Such as, can you give us an example?
Hugging, kissing. Just affection.
No, ma'am. Miss Willis is a very, as am I, we're private people. Not, our relationship wasn't a secret. It was just private.
Professor Stephen Caliendo has been watching the proceedings in Georgia. He joins us now. Good afternoon, Professor. Thanks for being here with us, as always. Got to say, the testimony today was quite dramatic. Willis calling defense attorneys liars on multiple occasions. If you can, break down for us what came out of the courtroom today.
Well, we're not done. It's still going on, and this is really, honestly, it feels like if it was a Lifetime movie that I was watching, I wouldn't believe it, that it was true. Because what we're talking about here is a personal relationship, and it's very difficult, of course, for these folks to have these conversations. I don't think I have to share with the viewers any news that when people have affairs, they lie about them, and now they're under oath and they can't lie, or they shouldn't be lying. But all this is what we're talking about, instead of talking about the corruption trial, of course, that is at the center of all of it.
Yeah, because that issue, yes, whether the relationship between Willis and Nathan Wade, the private attorney she hired to oversee that case, are enough to disqualify one or both of them. And then the facts could even lead to the dismissal of the Georgia election case altogether. After day one, do either of these scenarios seem likely to you?
Well, it's hard to read the judge, but I have to say that he seems frustrated at times with both sets of attorneys. When I say both sets, because there's so many attorneys asking questions. Remember, this is a very complicated RICO trial, so there are lots of defendants, and so each of them has lawyers there, and so that's making things very complicated. I think the judge is going to have to decide, not only was there some financial gain on the part of Fani Willis, that is, did she gain from hiring him, but was there even the appearance of impropriety? That could be enough to disqualify not just her, but the entire team from the case. That doesn't mean necessarily it would be dismissed, but the new team could come in and they have to decide what they're going to do with that grand jury indictment.
Okay, Fani Willis was very strong in her own defense, correcting the defense attorneys on numerous occasions. Let's just listen a little bit to what she had to say at one point.
I object to you getting records. You've been intrusive into people's personal lives. You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial.
So, Professor, if you can, tell us what you think, how she did for herself today during this testimony, how she's continuing to do.
I think that was early on in the testimony, and I think she was very strong in those moments where she was sort of saying this is a distraction, and essentially what she was arguing there was this is an attempt by the defense attorneys to muddy the water, to say, yeah, you know, we're accused of doing stuff, but really you did some stuff too, and that's not good. Nobody's stuff's good, so maybe we should just forget the whole thing. Later on, as she's gotten more tired and as she sort of had more specific questioning about the relationship, she's got herself tied up in a couple of different spots. You know, we're arguing about what is romantic. What does stay mean? Does stay mean live with? Does stay mean stay overnight? A lot of these things are splitting legal hairs. And again, the judge is going to have to come to some decision about who's believable here and whether or not it warrants dismissing Fani Willis and her team from the case.
And Professor, this is just one of 4 cases the former president is facing. If this one gets thrown out, which other case do you think is more likely to stick or be more damaging? And could any of them prevent him from running for president?
Well, I mean, nobody can really prevent him from running for president. The Constitution doesn't disqualify a convicted felon from being president of the United States. And so he could be president from prison, for instance. I think the question and what the Trump team is worried about is if there's a conviction prior to the election, would that affect people's willingness to vote for Donald Trump under those circumstances? We heard today that the jury selection will start the last week of March in the New York case. Of course, besides that, we've got the case in Florida, which is the classified documents case, and then of course the special prosecutor's case in Washington D.C. about the January 6th, which the Supreme Court's going to have to weigh in on whether or not the president has immunity from, and we should hear that in the next week or so.
A lot to be watching. Professor Caliendo, thank you for breaking it down for us as always. Have a great afternoon.
You have a great afternoon as well. Thank you.